seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I am here with What If Deku Died, Part 1. So, this is going to be the first video out of 3 that I'm going to be trying to make tonight. In case you guys are wondering, it is a Sunday, a school night, and it's 10:34 p.m. So I have way too much to do. So let me go ahead and give you guys my little schedule. So this video I'm going to try and release on Monday. This video, What If Deku Had Ultra Instinct, I'm going to try and release on Tuesday. And this video, What If Deku and Overhaul Were Brothers, I'm going to release on Wednesday. I don't know what I'm going to be releasing on, Thursday and Friday. Those 2 days are probably going to end up being, if you guys can hit the like goal, which is 50 likes, make sure to hit the like goal. I will probably end up doing, part 2s, part 3s, depending on how good the videos end up doing, on those 2 days, because right now I don't plan on making any more thumbnails. And what I like so much about these thumbnails is that, they're reusable. You don't have to put part 2 or anything on them. They're reusable. So, yeah. Let me go ahead and go back to the thumbnail. So, yeah. Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. Get this video to 50 likes, and I will post a part 2 within 1 day of it hitting the like goal. So, yeah. Let's get into this. So when Deku is born, he is born with a twin sister. So Deku and his twin are nearly inseparable. Anywhere Deku goes, Izumi will follow him. And she loves her older brother a lot. And she just loves how he's smart while she gets bad scores. He loves how he's strong while she's puny and can barely throw a rock. And she loves how he's independent, somewhat. He loves to follow rules, but he has this sort of independence that she doesn't see in many other boys his age. So when Deku and Izumi turn 4, Inko takes them to the quirk doctor. And while Deku and Izumi are just talking in the back seat, just wondering what their quirks are going to be. How are they going to become heroes? What quirks are they going to get? How strong of heroes will they become? And they're just talking nonstop. And Inko says, I sure hope you guys become strong heroes. If you don't, I'll disown both of you. I can't afford you guys for the next 18 years if it's not going to pay me back. So, Inko walks up to the front desk of the doctor's office, and she signs the appointment. She does everything. She files all the paperwork. So then the doctor takes them both back in the back. He's running the tests, and, he takes some x-rays. And then he calls Inko into the room, or into the office. So, the doctor is running over, the results of everything, and he says, Izumi, you have a wonderful fire quirk. Probably one of the best fire quirks I have ever seen in a child of this age. And Inko, I'm sure your daughter will become a great hero with this quirk. And then Inko says, okay, what about my boy? What kind of quirk does he have? How good of a hero is he going to become? And then the quirk doctor says, well, about that. He, doesn't have a quirk. And Inko says, what did you just say, doctor? And he says, again, your son doesn't have a quirk. And she says, your tech must be wrong. Your tests must be wrong. And the quirk doctor says again, ma'am, your son does not have a quirk. Our machines, they are the best equipment in the world. You can't mess up on this. And the tests, if you were to go to another quirk doctor, they would do the same tests. And either way, it would come out the same. He does not have a quirk. And then Inko says to herself, dang it! Now I'm gonna only get half of the vacation of retirement I would get if Deku had a quirk. Crap! I'll kill this kid when I get home. As she puts a fake smile on her face as she levitates Deku's toy back to him. And she says, well then, I guess we should be leaving, shouldn't we? As she looks at Deku, who has tears in his eyes. As he grabs Deku by the hair and says, Izumi, we're going. And Izumi is just so excited about her quirk. So Deku would just be crying all the way to the car, as not only did he just get his entire world destroyed by the quirk doctor, but his mom is acting weird. She's doing something she's never done before. She's pulling him by the hair, dragging him out of the hospital when he knows he can walk. So when Deku gets into the car, he's just grabbing at his hair as he's in so much pain from her dragging him to the car by his hair. And Izumi gets in and she isn't paying any mind. She hasn't been paying any mind to Deku, which is weird for her, seeing how normally she'd be all over Deku. And then Izumi asks, aren't you so excited about your quirk? And then Deku says, what do you mean, Izumi? You know I don't have a quirk. And then Izumi says, what? You don't have a quirk? I thought he said we both had a fire-type quirk. Oh, that explains why you were crying like a big crybaby. Huh. Well, maybe you weren't as strong as I thought you were. Well, Deku, just better not bother me, you got that? And then Deku's just so confused. His sister has never called him Deku. She's always called him by the name Izuku. So Deku is just looking out the window as his mom gets in the car, as she smiles at Izumi and says, congratulations on your great quirk, honey. I'm sure you'll become a great hero. As she whispers to herself, you better be. And then she looks at Deku with a very disappointed face and says, we'll be having a little chat when we get home. As she looks to the driver's side and turns on the car. So when Deku and Izumi get home, Izumi gets out of the car and starts walking to the door. Normally, Izumi would have gotten out at the same time as Deku and they would have walked to the door together, but Izumi doesn't even want anything to do with Deku. So Deku gets out of the car, then Inko grabs Deku by the hair and just yanks him to the ground and starts pulling him inside the house. Deku starts screaming and kicking, but it's doing nothing. Deku's in so much pain from his mom pulling him by the hair inside. So when Inko finally pulls Deku inside, she would throw him to the ground and slam the door shut, making sure to lock it. Then she would tell Izumi with a smile on her face, "Izumi, go to your room." As Izumi would say, "Okay, make sure to teach him a lesson." As Inko says, "Don't worry, I will." As she grabs Deku and just slaps him. As she grabs her belt and just starts whipping Deku and whipping him and whipping him. Deku's in so much pain, but Inko does not stop. She's unrelenting. She is just whipping Deku and whipping him with the belt. And then Inko kicks Deku into a wall and tells him, "Go to your room before I actually kill you." As she grabs a knife from the kitchen and starts walking towards Deku, Deku would quickly rush to his feet and run to his room and slam the door shut. As Inko says, "If you slam that dang door again, I'll kill you!" As she goes back and puts the knife back. Deku would slide down the door with his back pressed to the door. He'd just sit there, thinking about how crappy his life is going to be. As he falls asleep beside the door. As he feels banging on the door, he looks at the clock to see it's 7 a.m. He's about to be late for school. As Inko says, "Hurry up, Deku! Your sister's gonna be late for school!" And then Deku quickly gets his clothes on and runs out the door. As Deku asks about breakfast, and Inka says, "Quirkless people don't get breakfast," as she walks to the car. So when Deku and Izumi get to class, everyone would be showing off their cool quirks. And the teacher, would bring everyone up one by one to show off their quirks. And when Bakugo gets up there, he would show off this amazing explosion quirk. And everyone would give a round of applause. Deku would look over at Izumi to see her almost head and kneels for Bakugo. I mean, she has a look on her face he's never seen before. So when Bakugo would get down from the stage, Izumi would immediately run up to him and say, "Wow, Bakugo, your quirk was amazing. My quirk is a lame fire quirk, while yours is an amazing explosion quirk." And Bakugo, well, he'd be pretty excited that Izumi is actually talking to him, because he's had a crush on Izumi for almost the entire time he's known her. So they would get to talking, and then Deku would go up onto the stage, and he would say he doesn't have a quirk. And for a quick moment, the room fell silent. Then Izumi would look almost embarrassed to see her quirkless brother up on the stage. Then Bakugo would start the laughter by saying, "Wow, you don't have a quirk? Deku, Deku, Deku!" As everyone would start cheering, "Deku, Deku!" As Deku would leave the stage, everyone would start laughing at Deku and just screaming Deku, and Deku would walk to his seat as he just watches Bakugo and Izumi, just talk like he's never seen her talk like that to anyone but him. But now they don't even know each other anymore. So, a couple years go by, and Izumi and Bakugo are dating. like full on dating. So I'm gonna say it's probably about Deku's probably about 14, no 15. Yeah. So Deku would be walking home, and then Izumi and Bakugo would start bullying Deku. They'd push him to the ground, and Izumi would burn his books while Bakugo would, destroy Deku's clothes with his explosion quirk. And then Izumi would tell Deku, "Come on, we're going home." So when they get home, Izumi would knock Deku out by hitting him with a frying pan. Then Bakugo would walk in. So they would tie him up and bring him to Izumi's room. And then Bakugo and Izumi would start to strip down naked. So Deku wakes up to see Bakugo and Izumi laying on the bed making out. Deku would scream for Inko, but Inko's out on business travel. As Inko looks over at Deku and says, "Oh, about time you're awake, Deku. Well, we were just about to get on to the show, should I say?" As Bakugo says, "Yeah, you should say, you little whore," as he climbs up on top of Izumi, as they start making out even more. Deku tries to close his eyes, but he just can't. Something is just telling him to keep watching. Deku starts to cry as he wonders, what happened to my life? Everything was so good back when we were 3. How did it go downhill so quick? And then Bakugo would sit back up as he would grab his penis and stick the tip into Izumi's vagina. Deku tries to look away, but as Bakugo sticks more of his penis inside of Izumi, her moans just keep Deku watching. He's not turned on, not at all. He can't stand it. He wants to beat the ever-living crap out of Bakugo, but he can't. He's tied down, and he's corkless. As Bakugo begins, in, out, in, out, in, out, as Izumi just moans, Bakugo, Bakugo-kun, as he's just going. He's just slapping those booty cheeks with his oversized penis. And Deku just can't stand it. In, out, in, out. He just can't stand it. Then Bakugo looks at Izumi's titties as he grabs one, squeezes it, and then starts sucking on it. In, out, suck in, suck in. He's just drinking from Izumi's titties and just pounding her. All this is just making her moan nonstop. Deku hates this. Deku wonders if this is hell. Then a voice says to him, "This isn't hell, buddy." As the voice disappears, Deku wonders who that was. As Deku wishes he could just scream at Bakugo right now, but because of the tape they put on his mouth, he can't say anything. So when they get done, Bakugo would show that he didn't put on a condom. As they both look at Deku, Deku can't help but just close his eyes and hope this was all a dream. So, One day, Deku is walking home after an intense beating from Izumi and Bakugo. Then he would hear a scream and look over to see a little girl being dragged by an adult man. Deku would run over and ask, "What's going on?" As the little girl would say, "Help me, please!" And Deku would see that she's around 4 years old. As he would look up at the man to see him turn around and he has some kind of bird mask on, he would say, "Don't worry, this is just my child. We were heading back to our home after she ran out." As she says, "No, this isn't my papa. He's not. Help me, please." And Deku would say, "Let her go. If she really is your daughter, then you will be fine with showing the proper identification. Something to tell me that she actually is your child. And you're not kidnapping her." Then the man would say, "Oh, well, I guess we're gonna have to do this the hard way, aren't we, Eerie?" As Deku says, "What do you mean by that?" As Deku puts his hands up and says, "I will fight you." As the man says, "This won't be much of a fight." As he takes his glove off and walks up to Deku. Deku's about to throw a punch at the man, but within moments, the man impales Deku with his arm straight through Deku's chest. Deku would cough up some blood. And then as he's just looking at the girl, as his vision fades in and out, he can't help but remember those words he heard when he was watching his sister. Then the man would pull his arm out from Deku's chest, as Deku would fall backwards onto the cold, hard ground. As Deku would lie in a pool of his own blood, as he would hear the footsteps of the man walk away, as he would hear the screams of the child start moving away. As Deku sits there, he hears no help coming, only the footsteps walking away. As Deku's sitting there, he would eventually lose all sight, all hearing, and all smell. As Deku would hear that voice again. "Ah, young child. It appears you lost your life quite quickly. I can help you regain it for a small price." As Deku says, "Who are you? And what is this price you speak of?" As the man would say, "Just one simple price. You cannot die, but you will have unmeasurable strength and almost endless regeneration for the small price to pay of your souls." As Deku would say, "Yes, please, just let me save this child." As the man would say, "All right then, Deku. I'll help you out. But good luck without any emotions." As Deku says, "What? That wasn't a part of the deal." As Deku would wake up, Deku would sit up and feel his chest, realizing the hole is gone. Deku would sit up as he sees the man walking away. As Deku would start walking towards the man. As the girl would break free and start running towards Deku. As the girl stops dead in her tracks. As the man turns around, he sees what she's looking at. As Deku's walking towards them, Eri would quickly back away from both of them. As each step Deku takes, he would almost limp. Deku still isn't quite used to what's happening with his body. As the man would walk up to Deku and say, "What are you doing still alive?" As he would reach for Deku, Deku would grab his arm and break it, shattering the bone. The man would scream as he would reach for his arm to try and heal it. Deku would grab the man by the throat and lift him up. The man with his free arm would grab Deku and destroy Deku's arm. Deku would dagger backwards as Deku's arm would regenerate. The man would almost go into shock as he watches Deku look at him with a smile, but still with a straight face. Deku would walk up to the man, and in the same way he killed Deku, he would punch a hole straight through the man's chest, and then pull his heart out. Deku would look at the man's heart and back at the man as he would ask, "What's your name?" As the man would say, "Overhaul." As he says, "Overhaul. See you in hell." As he crushes the man's heart, as the man would fall to the ground, dead. Deku would look at the child as she's just in pure shock. As Deku says, "You can follow me or go to the adoption center. I don't care which one you choose." As Deku would start walking back home. The girl, with no other choice, would follow Deku. She would ask Deku, "What's your name?" As he would say, "Izuku Midoriya, but I would prefer to keep it just at Izuku. I couldn't care less about my last name." As the girl would say, "Well, my name is Iri-chan. I don't really remember my last name." As Deku would ask, "What's up with all the bandages on your arms?" As she would say, I'd rather not talk about it." As he says, "Alright then." So, Deku would decide, instead of taking Eri home, knowing that Bakugo and Izumi are probably at it again, he would decide to just rent a motel. So, Deku would get into his hotel room and tell Eri, "You can have that bed, just don't come over to mine." So, Eri would walk over to the bed and ask, "Are you not going to tell me a bedtime story or anything?" As Deku would let out a sigh and say, "Fine." So, Deku would unstrip Eri and get her into some pajamas, as he would tuck Eri in and tell her a bedtime story. So, there was once a princess who had a very nice older brother. They would go everywhere together. But one time, the brother would get deadly weak after he had been hit with a bad virus. Then another night would come in. the best friend to the brother. And the man would slay the brother then and there. Then in the same bed with the dead, lifeless body, they would bear a child. The end. As Deku would walk back to his bed, eerie, scared horribly by this, she would ask, Can you tell another one that isn't so scary? As he says, fine. There was once a princess who ran this large village. She died. The end. And Eerie said, You're not very good with stories. As he says, Yeah, I know. So Eerie would walk over to Deku's bed and tell him a story. Once upon a time, in a castle far, far away, there was once a princess who was trapped in the castle with a dragon guarding the gates. One day a prince would come and slay the dragon and take the girl home. They would marry and have 3 children. The end. As he says, good story. Now, time for bed. As Deku would get up and tuck Eerie back in, and then shut off the lights. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to end this episode off. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And while you're at it, United States of, smash the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. So yeah, peace